Okay, and we're going. Thanks for joining us, Monica.
Anytime.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad I could speak with you because I know, we went to the same high school and you were an excellent student, and I appreciate you stopping and taking the time to talk with us. So my first question was just in a general sense, what was your experience in high school? Were you someone that, had great study habits? Were you involved in clubs? Were you, how would you describe yourself?
Well, study habits, I could have done better, but I was one of those kids that kind of got away with not studying, which is really annoying for someone who has to study to hear, I know. But I did theater. I was the president of the biodiversity club and the vice president of the green club. I worked 40 hours a week. There's a lot shoved into that little time period.
Yes, I remember you were always doing something. And I remember the Green Club. That was awesome. That was a really, really fun time. So out of all the time that you were, involved in and out of school activities, did you ever have any mentors or like people that you could look up to? I know it doesn't sound like you necessarily needed to go to tutoring for your classes, but were there people that helped you along the way as you were in high school?
I would say Hake, who's the anatomy and physiology teacher. I almost said professor. College. Um, he's also the contact for the STEM, whatever it is,
Mhm.
section. I can't remember what the term they use is.
Magnet, I think, at Blair, yeah.
No, not the you know how there's the different sections you get grouped into if you're not in CAP or Magnet. There's
Mhm.
human services professions, STEM, and then something else and something else. He's the leader of the STEM part. He's a cool nerd. Science has always been my thing. I think he's probably the biggest mentor. He's the one I went to and talked about all of my college stuff. He helped me figure out exactly how much money I was wasting by going to an out-of-state school for an education program that the school that was in-state was much better for anyways. He's like a second dad, you know what I mean?
I
He's
do. No, trust me. I mean,
um,
I knew a couple people, and for me, I mean, I wish I was the type of student you were. I had to go to study groups. I had to get help. I had to, meet with advisors. But I definitely had a couple mentors that were really, they made a lot of positive, they had a lot of positive influence in what I was going. So I guess last question I want to say on high school was, did you ever study with friends, or were you more of a solo worker? How would you find, like, if you had a project, how would you ideally approach it?
okay. Well, to answer that first part of the question with the studying, the solo versus in groups, if I studied in a group, I ended up kind of becoming the tutor,
Mhm.
which is fine, but you know,
It takes a
if,
little more
if
effort.
I'm taking, AP Lang and they're taking honors English, there's an overlap, but at the same time, I'm gonna overwhelm you with some of this stuff. I don't mean to, but it's
Mhm.
just natural. Sorry, bud. Um, and then with group projects, I was, mm, Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series, how
Yep.
she's kind of an insufferable know-it-all. Um, like I was a lovable one
Mhm.
because I'm a control freak when it comes to group projects because I refuse to get a terrible grade because somebody else is being lazy. But at the same time, I don't want to have to do the whole thing myself. I was
Sure.
working full time, I didn't have time for
Mhm.
all that. So it was
So
a
I
little bit of
guess
a
if I could ask, if you could give advice, because I mean, I worked full time and, well, sorry, I worked frequently in school. I don't think I worked full time, but if you could give advice to someone who is working a lot in high school, um, and obviously a student, how did you manage your time at work and your school time? Did you block out hours to do school?
so because we had that block scheduling, it was kind of a blessing. I initially at my senior year, I didn't really care. I just worked whenever they offered me work. But sophomore and junior year, I made sure that I had off one of the weekdays and then either Saturday or Sunday. It was usually Sunday because I didn't like closing on Sundays anyways. Um, so it was usually Wednesday because I did volunteer work on Wednesdays. So I would
Mhm.
request off that Wednesday so I could do my volunteer work and then go home and do any big studying or whatever I had to do. And then I had Sunday to do whatever I needed to do. And then I would suggest not working full-time as a student, because I can tell you how much sleep I did not get, because I was up until about 3 o'clock in the morning pretty much every day doing homework, and then I would get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock to do it all again.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a balance, and make sure you keep your social interactions up too, because just work, school is depressy.
Yeah.
We don't like that here. And I definitely paid the price for that later on in college. I mean, we had some issues with the motivation.
Yeah.
So if you keep a well-balanced diet, education, school, social-wise, less likely to have that burnout.
Awesome.